different aspects of renewable energy.
Sure.
So I'm just saying that there has to be within the camps of politically savvy climate deniers, there has to be some sort of awareness that this is coming.
I think that in most cases there is an awareness that somebody is trying to push their liberal agenda down their throats.
That's what I mean.
I really don't think, with very few exceptions like Exxon's upper leadership, for instance, that you have this cadre of sophisticated climate deniers that know that climate change is coming, but
No, I'm not talking about the climate change is coming, that this
this stuff
scenario
yeah.
is approaching. Not like that climate that you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and realistically, all the energy companies have been saying, look, just regulate us already, but give us certainty. You know, Chevron said, put a carbon tax on it. We don't care, just tell us what it is, so we can plan for it. Because they know that they can play, they can play that market.
Yeah, sure.
It's just, the bar will be a little different, but you know, they'll survive, they'll do okay. Maybe their profits are gonna be not $20 billion a quarter, but 15. Right? They'll be fine. Like, no fossil fuel company will go out of business if we put in a $30 carbon tax. They'll do just fine. They'll just pass it along to the
coal industry,
they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
Any last questions for Dr. Gershenson?
Are there any policies that you think would be effective in mandating keeping it in the ground or of that sort to keep emissions?
Well, don't lease any more fossil fuels is an obvious one, right? Just stop it. Like, stop giving away all of our stuff to these companies at below cost. Like, stop it, right? There's no sense, it doesn't help the economy, it doesn't, you know, and put in a carbon tax. A $30 carbon tax will solve most of our problems.
Just to be clear though, you identified Obama. Is this something that a president should be doing, or is it something that,
Absolutely.
but then it goes away with that president?
This is something
Well,
the Interior Secretary.
Sort of. Yes. Yes.
Is it not something that we should be encouraging our local legislators who have more?
They don't have, it's federal land. You can only do it on federal land.
Local meaning Barbara Boxer or Feinstein.
Given the makeup of the Senate and the House,
If you look at what states have all the federal fossil fuels, Utah, Nevada,
South Dakota,
very
North
conservative
Dakota,
states.
it's,
And how do we get like a severely underfunded and understaffed EPA to even enforce and regulate?
well, that's easy. You wouldn't have to enforce anything because if you haven't leased it, nobody's gonna sneak onto federal land and put a oil well in, right? It's not like secret timber cuts. Like, you have to have a rig in place to take it out, and it takes 20 years. So you can't poach fossil
Oil,
fuels.
yeah.
So if you haven't leased it, then you don't need to enforce it. It's just
So how about any NEPA in regard to countries who may have been paid to keep their carbon sequestered, yet
NEPA is
maybe not NEPA.
NEPA is our.
Unless it was a U.S. government grant.
Yeah.
Or if you had to do a
National.
EIS for a particular project, you could say,
And
you
US
can
government.
factor in the greenhouse gas emissions,
Right.
say it's the impact.
But
of
not
so much, you can do
abroad.
Not abroad, no, I'm sorry, yeah.
And the U.S. doesn't pay anybody anything because we don't have a climate policy.
Well, it seems to me that Dr. Miller makes a great point. Should this just be on a federal level? Yes, they're federal lands. But to what extent has there been some sort of partnership with other organizations that are working on other, political scales? For example, shut down the federal lands, great. What about at the local level, the state level, stop shipping, slow down refineries, or put more restrictions. It seems to me that it would be most effective if there were partnerships that targeted multiple scales of analysis.
Sure. So working on a local scale, lots of municipalities have climate action plans and things like that. But in order to really put a damper on the industry, doing it bottom up in this case, because it's such a global industry, it's kind of like you can push on a balloon on one side, but it'll, right, it has to be this is why we need a global agreement, right?
So what if we did the equity analysis saying, of the states, which state is using the most carbon and emitting the most carbon? Which would it be?
Right.
I'm gonna guess South, on a per capita basis, for sure,
Using
South
the most
Dakota.
carbon.
South
Using the
Dakota,
most carbon.
yeah, they're
The last
running on coal.
California is the biggest economy. I'd be astounded if we weren't using a great
On a
deal
per
of
capita
carbon.
level?
No, well, no, as a.
No,
as
but
a-
equity
as
is
a-
all about per
Oh,
capita,
per capita.
right? So,
Okay,
On
so
a-
the small states, but
would it be-
if you look at California, you look at Los Angeles, you look at the freezing cold room that we're in right now, I would want to see the analysis.
Right. Well,
I'm not
including
sure.
production too, but.
I mean,
question
we
is-
have control over demand in California, and we can blame Dakota, South Dakota or whatever, but the honest truth is, if we weren't so desperate for our cars in California, and our cement, I saw 4% cement, I don't like cement.
so California, just to give you one number that will put this in perspective, 1 kilowatt hour of juice in South Dakota has an impact that is 4 times what a kilowatt hour is here, because of our mix of energy, right? So
They're electric grid. Yeah.
their electric grid. There are lots and lots and lots of things that California has done where our CO2 emissions have been going down.
That's for your
Cumulative.
other talk, we'll do the next time.
Right.
I want to loop back one last
Alright.
comment back to Dr. Douglas's point, which is, well, I think there are a lot of local projects that would help this particular issue. So right here in San Jose, my students know about this, there is a proposal to truck tar sands right through downtown along the Capitol Corridor, through Sacramento, down through San Jose, down to a Phillips refinery down in San Luis Obispo County. So I think the efforts of stalling the infrastructure, so when you think about infrastructure for the fossil fuel economy, you have to ask yourself, do I want to marry this piece of infrastructure? It's going to be here for 60, 70, 80 years. They're not using it for 5 or 6 years. So I think there are kind of multi-levels of partnerships that can help address this problem, but those activists don't know anything about this study. So it's kind
Exactly.
of this multi-scalar interlinkages between the social movements I think is really important.
That's the whole point. I mean, we had the Associate Director of Communities for Better Environment in our Race, Poverty, and Environment class last night, and right now they're launching a full-scale fight against crude by rail,
There you go.
right? You know, they're shipping this stuff down. It takes one spark.
Right.
Yep.
You know, these things are blowing up in people's backyards. You know, there's several health implications. And that's what I'm saying. It seems that it would behoove the movement if there were some sort of more cohesive network at multiple scales. You know, at the local scale, you know, state, federal, onto global.
Well, you know, but we
Change
need
the
the economy to grow.
Exactly. Sorry?
We need the economy to grow.
My bad.
Why do you hate him?
All right.
On that note, let's thank Dr. Gershenson. Thank you all for being here. Remember, we got a defense coming up on Monday, so I'll send some reminders out about where we're going to meet here.